How many games will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win in 2024? What's going on, Bucs fans? It's your boy Mayo Jones here, and we back here with another NFL rec prediction. And this time we're doing an NFL rec prediction for the Tampa Bay Bucs for a 2024 NFL season. Give me my game analysis to see which games I think the Bucs will win and which games I think the Bucs will lose. So before I give you my record. Now, my question is, can the Bucs, survive in the playoffs again? Can they win the division? We're gonna find out. So put a thumbs up to like the video, subscribe to my channel more often, and comment down your opinion below to see what you think about the Bucs. Do you think the Bucs are gonna win division and make the playoffs again, or you think they're gonna miss out on the playoffs and probably take a step back? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Now, as we all know that the Bucs, have made the playoffs last year and won a playoff game and lost the divisional round. And I feel like they still are the same team, but just lost a few pieces. They still got a good coach in Todd Bowles. And Baker Mayfield's still there. They brought back Mike Evans and Antoine Winfield, which that's really nice. They got some nice pieces that are pros. So we're going to get through this game, this started right here. So week 1, they play at home against the Washington Commanders. Obviously, I got the Bucs kicking off at the home opener with a win. And the reason why I got the Bucs winning this game against the Commanders is because the Bucs, are a better team. They got a better quarterback. They're at home in this game, and I believe that that Todd Bowles, does a really good job preparing for these mobile quarterbacks. But this is a rookie that Washington's dealing with, Jaden Daniels. They're going to be dealing with learning curves. They have a new head coach, a new quarterback in Jaden Daniels, which I think he will be starting. And Todd Bowles versus Jaden Daniels, I feel like a rookie against a Todd Bowles defense is really not what I want to see. I mean, Todd Bowles has a really good scheme on defense. He's gonna find out where. I feel like Jaden Daniels will struggle with his blitz packages. Like the Bucs have a great pass rush, a great secondary that can man up against the Commanders receivers. They can get after Jaden Daniels. Like they can stop the run. They got good weapons on offense, like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, Cade Otton. Those guys are probably gonna be too much for the Commanders secondary to handle because they don't really have the corners to man up against the Bucs receivers. So yeah, I think the Bucs win that game at home. Week 2 against Detroit Lions. I think the Lions will win this game. This is a playoff rematch. This is a rematch from the playoff, but I think the Lions will win this game because the Lions are at home. They got the better quarterback, better coaching. They're the more complete team overall. And this is the Carlton Davis revenge game because Carlton Davis was with Buck, but now he's with the Lions. He gets to face his old teammate Mike Evans for the first time. So I think, the Lions kind of have a better defense. They're good at stopping the run, and the Bucs are really not a good run heavy team. I think they can stop the run. They can get out their Baker. Their secondary, like I said, is improved, which I think they can man up against the Bucs receivers. They have a strong offensive line. They got good weapons on offense that can really attack the Bucs secondary, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams. They also got Jahmyr Gibbs and in the backfield along with David Montgomery. So the Lions just kind of have a high-powered offense, and I don't know if the Bucs can keep up with them. So yeah, I think the Lions find a way to win this game at home. Then week 3 against the Broncos, I think they'll bounce back and beat the Broncos because the Broncos, I view them as going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL coming into this 2024 season because the Bucs, they have, they don't have the Bucs are a better team. They're at home, better quarterback. I mean, we don't know who's playing quarterback for the Broncos. Is it going to be Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, or it's going to be the rookie Bo Nix? But if it's a rookie, I wouldn't trust him on the road, especially against a good defense like the Bucs, like Tom Bowles. His scheme's really good. He does a good job preparing for young quarterbacks, so he can do that. And especially, I don't think the Broncos have much of a pass rush to get after Baker Mayfield. I think the Bucs, Broncos secondary, is not great. It's outside of Patrick Surtain. I think the Bucs can move the ball on the Broncos. So yeah, I think the Bucs should easily win that game. Then week 4 against the Philadelphia Eagles. This game right here can go either way. Now, some people could be picking the Eagles to win because the Eagles are a better team overall. But I have a feeling that that the that's a playoff. That's a game from the playoffs though. But I have a feeling that the Bucks are gonna win this game. The reason why I think the Bucks are gonna upset the Eagles is because the Bucks match up well with the Eagles really good. They have and Todd Bowles against mobile quarterbacks. He does a good job defending mobile quarterbacks, especially in that playoff game. He did a really good job, like defending Jalen Hurts, getting him a tough time. And I think he can do that again. And the Eagles defense did struggle against, the cover Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I mean, the Eagles do have a talented secondary, but I think the Bucks can win their one-on-one matchups. And I think they can control the game and keep Jalen Hurts on the sidelines. And I think, their secondary can do a good job covering the Eagles. I think their pass rush, they kind of have a little bit of a pass rush. I think they can get after, Jalen Hurts a little bit. So, yeah. I think the Eagles are a better team overall from a talent standpoint, but I think the Bucks at home will win that game for sure. Then they're 3-1, looking pretty good. And they got to play against the Atlanta Falcons on a short week on Thursday night. And they got to play the Falcons in week 8. So that's back to back a little bit. So I'm going to give the Falcons a win on that Thursday night game because it's at home in Atlanta. A lot of people are expecting Atlanta to be contenders now because now they got Kirk Cousins. And, the Falcons are at home in this game. So I think Atlanta will win. And I think the Bucks will win the second game in Tampa because I think Tampa has a better defense than Atlanta because I don't think Atlanta's defense great. I think the Bucks can move the ball on them. And I think their defense can give Kirk Cousins a tough time in that game. So, yeah. I think the Bucks will split with the Falcons. I think the Bucks will beat the Falcons once this year. So, yeah. Then week 6 against the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, the game's in New Orleans, so I'm going to say the Saints are going to win this game because the game's in New Orleans. And, the Saints always play the Bucks pretty tough. Now, I don't think the Saints will be a great team this year. I mean, they got a really good roster, though. Their defense is really good, especially their offensive line is very weak. And Derek Carr, I don't think he's great. And I don't really like their coach, but I like them as a defense coordinator. So, yeah. But I think the Saints will beat the Bucks once because they pretty much own the Bucks. But I believe so yeah. And then week 7 against the Baltimore Ravens. This is a game that can go either way. I could see the Bucks winning this game because Todd Bowles against mobile quarterbacks, he does a really good job preparing them. Because I think from 2 years ago, the Ravens, did beat them on the road in Tampa Bay. The reason why they beat them on the road in Tampa Bay because look, they did a really good job defending Lamar a little bit, but the Ravens offense was definitely going off. So I'm going to go with the Ravens to win this game because I think the Ravens are a better team, better coaching staff, better quarterback. And I just think, the Ravens defense is going to give Baker Mayfield and that Bucs offense a tough time. They have a great pass rush that can get after Baker Mayfield. They have really good corners that can man up against the Bucs receivers. So, yeah. And I think, Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers will win their one-on-one matchup against the Bucs secondary. And the Bucks may not have much of a pass rush to get after Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry might have a good game here. So, yeah, and I feel like Lamar will make some magic happen in Tampa. So, I think the Ravens will win that game in Tampa Bay. Week 9 against the Kansas City Chiefs. In Arrowhead on Monday night, I got the Chiefs, winning this game here because the Chiefs are at home. They got the better quarterback, better coaching staff. They're the better team overall. And the Chiefs, I just think their defense with Spags in there is going to get the Bucks offense a tough time. Well, now I think it could be close, but I think if Todd Bowles finds a way to confuse Mahomes like he did in that Super Bowl from 3 years ago, I think the Bucks can definitely win this game. But I think the Chiefs offensively can move the ball in the Bucks. They have a strong offensive line, a really good run game. They got some good receivers like Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice if he's playing, and Hollywood Brown. And they also got Travis Kelce too. So they got plenty of weapons to work with it, which I think they can really like move the ball on the Bucks. And their defense, is really good, especially against the run, but it's not great. Spags does a really good job blitzing, so I think he will put up a good game plan against Baker Mayfield. So yeah. So I'm not too worried about the Chiefs secondary. I mean, as long as they can crowd the Bucks, I think they can play the Bucks running game. Especially the Chiefs just have a better running game than the Bucks. So I think the Chiefs will win that game. Week 10 against the 49ers. This is another game that can go either way. I can see the Bucks winning this game, but I'm just gonna I'm just gonna go with the Niners here to win this game because I think the Niners are way too physical for the Bucks, and especially the Niners are just a better team overall. They got the better coaching staff. I think Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Baker, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean the Niners got a really good roster. They got the better roster overall. I mean they got a great defense that can get after Baker Mayfield. They stop the run really good. They got a really good secondary that can man up against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Their old line is pretty good. Their running game is really good. I think the Niners have a better run game than the Bucks, and their receivers are really good. Like Brandon, I use George Kittle, and then also the stud tight end George Kittle, and they also got Ricky Perso. I think the Niners' offense will be too much for the Bucks defense to handle. So that's why I think the Niners will win that game. Okay, so basically the Bucks are 4-6 heading towards a bye week. So they get a bye week 11, which they get a week to prepare, and they got to play against the Giants. Obviously, this is a game I think the Giants can win because the game's in New York, but I don't see it happening though. I'm going to give the Bucks the win here in New York. I think the Bucks are a better team overall. They got the better quarterback. Um, I think they got better coaching in my opinion. And I just think the Bucks got more talent overall. They just got more weapons on offense. Like the Giants, really don't have a lot of weapons on offense that can scare the Bucks defense. Like I think the Bucks secondary can get sticky against an underwhelming receiving core. The Giants, despite the Malik Neighbors addition they got, the Giants don't have a good run game, and I think the Bucks defense with their can like get after Daniel Jones. And the Giants secondary is pretty young, but I don't think it's great. So I think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin will be too much for the Giants secondary to handle because I just don't see how the Giants cover the Bucks. So yeah, I think that's pretty much why I think the Bucks win that game. Then week 13 against the Panthers, and they got to play against week 17. I'm gonna say they split because I believe last year the Bucks swept them. So I'm gonna say the Panthers win the first game against the Buccaneers because is at home in Carolina, and Carolina tends to play the Bucks pretty hard sometimes. So yeah, I mean the Panthers did improve their roster a little bit. Their offensive lines improved. Their receiving core improved, especially with Xavier Legette and Deontay Johnson. And the defense, it's good, but I don't think it's great. So I think the Panthers can win the first game, and I'm going to say the Bucks win the second game against the Panthers because I think the Bucks are just a better team overall, better quarterback, better coaching. They're at home. Panthers are going to be doing learning curves because they have a new head coach in Dave Canales, which he was offense coordinator of the Bucks. But I think the Bucks got. But I think the Bucks might have more to play for because I feel like they could be a team that they're probably going to make the playoffs this year, or they could definitely miss it. So I think the Bucks can win that game at home. And I think, Todd Bowles has done a good job against Bryce Young. I feel like he can do the same thing. He can blitz Bryce Young. He can make him uncomfortable in the pocket. Like, he can do all that. And especially, I think the Bucks got the better roster overall and they're more talented. So that's why I think they'll beat the Bucks. But I can see them winning both games against them. Week 14 against the Las Vegas Raiders. I got the Bucks beating the Raiders because the Bucks, they're a better team overall, better quarterback, better coaching staff. I don't know who the quarterback for the Raiders is. If it's going to be Aiden O'Connell or it's going to be Gardner Minshew. If it's Aiden O'Connell, I wouldn't trust him on the road, especially against that good of a defense like the Bucks. They have a better defense, in my opinion. I think there's a chance the Raiders defense can give the Bucks offense issues, but Raiders do got good weapons on offense that can really attack them, like Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers. They have a good run game, but I think the Bucks do a good job stopping the run, and Their secondary is much better, which I think they can man up against the Raiders receiving core. And the Raiders secondary is not great. So I think, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin will be too much there for the Raiders secondary to handle, because I don't think the Raiders have the cover guys to cover the Bucks receivers. So I just don't see how the Raiders cover the Bucks. So I feel like Baker Mayfield can have time there. So yeah, I think the Bucks win that game there. Then week 15 against the Los Angeles Chargers. This is kind of a cross country game. I think the Bucks, that's a game I think Tampa can win, because Tampa, has better weapons, more weapons than the Chargers. But I'm leaning towards the Chargers, because the Chargers, they're at home in this game, and LA is kind of a tough place to play at. Um, I just think, Justin Herbert, you know, he's a good quarterback, but they don't have a lot of good weapons on offense that can really scare the Bucks. They have a good offensive line. Their defense is really good, but they're not good against the run. But they got a good pass rush that can get after Baker, and their secondary is pretty solid, which I think they can do enough to slow down the Bucks receivers. So yeah, I think the Chargers defense is probably going to win them this game there. So yeah, I think the Chargers win that game at home. And despite, I think the Chargers got better coaching and have a better quarterback. So yeah, I think the Chargers win that game there. All right, week 16 against the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, I got the Cowboys winning this game because the Cowboys are at home, better quarterback, better coaching. They're a better team overall. I mean, that's pretty much why. I mean, Dallas have done a really good job against Tampa Bay throughout the past. Like Tampa, I kind of remember Tampa Bay beating them with Tom Brady, but I forgot they did beat them with Tom Brady in the playoffs 2 years ago, which they did. As which was that a year ago? Oh yeah, it was 2 years ago. So Dallas did beat the Bucks, in the playoffs before. I think they can do the same thing, like get pressure on. They got a really good pass rush, a great secondary that can man up against the Bucks receivers. I think their secondary is good enough to slow down the Bucks receivers. Their pass rush is good enough to get after Baker Mayfield. And I feel like they can win their one-on-one matches against the Bucks secondary as well. CeeDee Lamb could be a problem as well. So yeah. I think Dak can have a good game here, especially throw the ball through the air against the Buffs secondary. So yeah, I think Dallas wins that game here at home. And then weeks 18 against the Saints, I'm gonna say they split the season series and they beat the Saints, because the Bucks typically have owned the Saints since Drew Brees retired and all that. Now I kind of remember last year they did beat them in New Orleans, and then New Orleans beat them in Tampa. So I think they will split the season series. So I got Tampa to win because they're at home. I think they're the better team overall, in my opinion, and have a better quarterback, in my opinion, and they have better coaching, in my opinion. So yeah, I think the Bucks will win that game. So ultimately, I have the Bucks going 8-9, which that could definitely be looking in towards the playoffs. 3-3 in the division, 6-6 in the conference, 7-2 at home, 1-7 away. I mean, not bad at all. So that can be looking outside, looking in. But I feel like 8-9 or 9-8 could be good enough for the Bucks to win division. But I don't really haven't decided who's gonna win division yet. So yeah, so basically when you look at the Bucks schedule, it's pretty tough because they have to play a couple playoff teams. Like they gotta play the Niners, they gotta play the Seahawks. They got to play the Falcons twice, which I think they're going to be really good. They got to play the Saints twice. They play the Ravens. They play the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Cowboys. I mean, this is kind of a tough schedule for Tampa Bay. So, like I said, I think Tampa Bay could definitely miss out on the playoffs, but I think this is a year I think Tampa might miss out on the playoffs because their schedule is very brutal, and they play a lot of good teams. But I think the Bucks do have some pieces that they have. They do have pieces that they're missing a little bit, but they still got the same pieces. So like they still got the receiving core still good. The old line is still good. They don't have a running game to depend on. Defensively, they're very solid. They're really good up front, and even in the secondary, despite those key losses that they made. So yeah, I think 8-9 or 9-8 is what I have for the Bucks. But so yeah, But you just let me know in the comments section below what you guys think. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Just let me know what you guys think. This is Emmanuel Jones, big fan. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later next video. Peace.